Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at vectors in C++. If you're familiar with other programming languages, vectors are like lists or arrays. So lists are basically containers that store a number of values. So they're variables that store more than one value. So in order to use vectors in C++, we're going to have to add an additional #include statement to our template code, which we are going to see right now. So we're going to create a new file, call it vectors.cpp. And as I said, we're going to use a new statement here. But before that, we're going to look at the format to creating a vector. So the format is std : vector followed by the data type. That means what type of data this vector or this list is going to be storing. Then we're going to have the name, and finally we're going to have an equal sign, and we're going to have the different elements inside the list. So in order to list out the elements, we're going to be using curly braces. So this is the format to creating a vector. Now we're going to put in our template code as usual. So we're going to have a #include iostream. Now we're going to have a new #include statement, which is going to be #include vector. Then we're going to have our main function. And in here, we're going to be creating our first list. So we're going to have a simple list. So we're going to have std followed by vector, and it's going to store numbers. So it's going to be of type int, and we're just going to call it numbers. And we're going to set it equal to, using curly braces, we're going to give it the values 1, 2, and 3. Each value should be separated by a comma. And finally, we're going to put in our semicolon. So this is a list. There are different things we can do with a list. So first, we're going to use a for loop to go through all the elements of the list. And in order to do that, first we need to see how we can access different elements inside the list. So lists are indexed starting from 0. What does that mean? That means 1 is located at index 0, 2 is located at index 1, and 3 is located at index 2. So we're going to be accessing each value using their respective index. So for example, if we wanted to access the number 2, we would have numbers, and we're going to use square brackets to access an element. Then inside the square brackets, we're going to put in the index. As I said, the number 2 is at index 1. So this is the second element of our list. We can print it out and see using cout. So we can save our file and we can run it. But before we save our file, we can just add a new line character here for more readability. Now we can go to our terminal and we're going to compile our file. We misspelled vector, so we're going to compile it again, vector.cpp. We get no errors. Then if we run our code, we get the number 2. So that is how you access an individual element from your list. So as I said before, we can loop through the list and print out each element. So we're going to have a for loop. First, we're going to initialize our variable. Let's just call it I and set it equal to 0. Our condition is going to be I less than the size of our list. So where do we get the size of our list from? We're going to use numbers.size, which is a function of a list. We will be looking at functions in a different video, but here numbers.size is simply going to give us the size of our list. So once we have that, we're going to increment I each time, and inside our for loop, we're going to print out numbers at position I. So I is going to change each time from 0 all the way up to 2. Then we're going to also add a new line for readability. Then now we can save our file and see how it works. We're going to compile it. And we're going to run it. As you can see, it prints out 1, 2, and 3. So this is how you iterate over a list and print out each element. Another thing you can do with a list is remove a certain element and again add a certain element inside the list. So to add an element to the end of the list, we're going to use the pushback function. So in order to use the pushback function, first we're going to put in the name of our list, which is numbers. Then we're going to have a dot. So basically when you put a dot, it's going to give you everything you can do with the list. I'm just calling them functions, but you can think of it like that. So you put a dot, then it tells you different things you can do to the list. Dot size gives you the size of the list. Dot pushback is going to add an element to the end of the list. So in this case, we're going to be using that. So we're going to have push underscore back. And in parentheses, we're going to put in the element we want to add to the end of the list. In this case, we just want to add 4. Now we can save our file and run it again. So we're going to compile it. And we're going to run it. As you can see, 4 got added to the end of the list and it got printed out. Another thing you can do is remove the element at the end of your list using numbers dot pop underscore back. So this is going to remove the last element in our list. In this case, since our list is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be removing the element 4. So it's going to go back to the original list. So we're going to save our file. We're going to compile it. Then we're going to run it. As you can see, 4 has been removed from our list. There are many more methods or functions you can use with lists, but this is just an introductory video. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily programming videos.